Well, the Fed cut rates again this week, quarter point, even though inflation's still above the target 3%, they're looking for 2%. Here to give us insight is Birch Gold Group's precious metal specialist. Welcome back, Phillip Patrick. Phillip, so we get the quarter point move down. Markets are reacting. Gold is sitting very, very, very strongly at 4,000 an ounce. I mean, this is incredible, up almost 50% year over year. Next move, your thoughts?
Look, I think it continues to move up from here. We had Jamie Dimon come out very recently. They're upping their prediction, JPMorgan, on gold quite significantly. They're saying could hit $8,000 an ounce in the next few years. So, and it's not just JPMorgan. Investment banks around the globe rapidly upping their predictions. I've said before, but I think what we're seeing now is a structural change. There's a move away internationally from government debt towards gold. And I think it's supporting higher gold prices moving forward. I think gold's been undervalued for a long time. Now it's being marked to reality.
Yeah, and Phillip, I got to point this out. And the folks know that I do business with Birch Gold. We love Birch Gold. You guys are great. And here's the point. If you're going to do something like buy gold, you have to trust people. You have to trust their reputation. I love gold to the point where I literally bought gold coins from a friend of mine who, he owns a jewelry store. He sells high-end watches, and he takes gold coins as part of his payments on some things. He said, "Do you want the gold?" I said, "I'll take it." And it was literally yesterday I bought gold because I believe in the price of gold and the future of gold. And I did it because I trust him, but I do also work with Birch Gold. And I think that is the point. You got to trust who you're dealing with when you deal with something as valuable as gold. And Birch is one of the best, if not the best.
I agree vehemently, and it's so important to find a company you trust who do things right. We are that company. We're the biggest in the United States for a reason. Anything you purchase from us is guaranteed. We assay everything. It's all in good condition. And you're right, you have to find a trusted dealer. So you have us, of course, and you have your friend. As long as you trust them, buy gold. It's the right climate to do it.
Yeah, and if I find out one of those gold coins I bought isn't real, I'll be back to Birch Gold. I'll be knocking on his door as well. So you know, the Fed, the 3% inflation. Is this the new normal now? I mean, the target rate is 2%, but we seem to be getting acclimated at 3%. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're moving into a climate of just persistently higher inflation. There wasn't really a rationale for the Fed to lower rates. We need it. We got to ease debt service, right? We need to boost the economy, but that's not really the Fed's job. The Fed's job is stable prices, 2% and maximum employment. Inflation's at 3%, right? 50% above their target. The rationale for them was concerns over unemployment. But even those numbers were, in the context of history, historically low. Unemployment's averaged 5.7% since 1945. We were in the mid-4s. I think what's really happening is we're starting to see what's called fiscal dominance in real time. Basically, this is the moment where it's debt driving policy more so than data. I think the Fed understand the government cannot function with high interest rates. So there isn't really a choice but to lower interest rates, let the economy boom, and inflation smolder.
So I've been talking about this for a while on the show. Tell me if I'm being accurate in your opinion. Oil prices have come down. $60 a barrel is great news for the economy. It's great news for inflation. The risk is that inflation rocks up and Feds have to raise interest rates again, and that would be a little bit of a headwind to the gold price. But it doesn't seem like that's happening. Lower oil prices, lower inflation is generally a good thing for gold.
Generally a good thing for gold. And honestly, I don't think they can really raise rates that much. Every time they raise 1 basis point on the federal funds rate, it adds $380 billion a year in interest costs. And that was kind of my point. That shouldn't be the Fed's concern. They should be laser focused on maximum employment and price stability, but they're straying beyond that mandate because the country cannot function today with high interest rates when you got $38 trillion of debt. It's not happening. So you either raise rates, freeze the economy and cripple the government with debt service, or you lower rates, give the economy some stimulus and let inflation rise. And I think it's the latter we're going to have to go for.
Got it. We're going to leave it right there. Mr. Phillip Patrick, have a great weekend. Birch Gold Group, we love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. It's almost like Democrats have forgotten that there's something called the internet where videos exist forever. While they hold the government and the country's SNAP benefits, the food benefits, hostage in order to maintain leverage over the Republican Party, their words, not mine. Let's look at what their party, their main guy, their dude, their bro, Barack Obama, said about that very thing, well, way back in 2013, shall we?
No Congress before this one has ever in history been irresponsible enough to threaten an economic shutdown, to suggest America not pay its bills, just to try to blackmail a president into giving them some concessions. I will not negotiate on anything when it comes to the full faith and credit of the United States of America. We're not going to submit to this kind of total irresponsibility. Congress needs to pay our bills on time. Congress needs to pass a budget on time. Congress needs to put an end to governing from crisis to crisis.
See how it works? When they're in power, they blame the other side. And now that they're not in power, Obama said, do it. Open, get your butts back to the bargaining table, sign a clean CR, and open the government. Everyone's happy. Not me necessarily, because it just raises our spending, but whatever. At least people will start getting their checks again. Speaking of flashbacks, so CNN's Caitlin Collins cornered dollar store Timu Obama on what he said about shutdowns back in 2013. And here's what Hakeem Jeffries had to say when his own hypocrisy was shoved in his face.
We're in the midst of a government shutdown right now that is unnecessarily forcing pain on the American people. It's a shutdown that was manufactured by the House GOP that has resulted in a situation where Americans all across this country have now been put in jeopardy. That's a tragedy of epic proportions.
I wonder what Hakeem Jeffries of today would say to the Hakeem Jeffries of 2013 who had that message in terms of wanting to pass a clean CR so Congress could get back to work.
Well, the Hakeem Jeffries of today definitively agrees with the Hakeem Jeffries of yesterday.
It's unbelievable. The hypocrite. It's why I can't stand politicians. Left, right, center. They get there and they just feel that they can lie and pretend nothing they've ever said in the past matters right now. Ooh, those bats. Ooh. Well, it's clear that Americans have had it with the shutdown and the nonsense. It's also clear that Americans know exactly who's to blame, and even their own supporters are pointing it out. So imagine when the people coming to your defense are America-hating politicians like, I don't know, Ilhan Omar, who loves Somalia more than America.
People are angry. So why is Hakeem Jeffries talking like he's Chuck E. Cheese Obama? Okay? What are we doing? What are we doing? Come on, man. Come on. Clearly, the Democrats don't have the leaders they need to meet the moment.
He says Democrats don't have the leaders they need to meet the moment. Is he right?
We have leaders. The problem is the leaders on the Republican side are refusing to meet with our leaders. You cannot have a government that functions without there being leaders having a conversation. That is where the core of the problem is.
Not really sure what she was saying. Basically saying, I have no answer for this because when it was the other way around, we told you to open the government. Now it's our turn and you won't open the government. So what are you doing? I don't know. Let's ask Hakeem Jeffries. He thinks he's Obama. When you look up the phrase lack of self-awareness, that first person that comes to mind should be Kamala Harris, or at least it should be, as I said, she continues to lie about Joe Biden's mental decline, as we showed you yesterday. And Kamala continues to serve her infamous word salads on her book tour of embarrassment after embarrassment. Here she is suggesting that we should lower the voting age because of, the weather.
I think we should reduce voting age to 16. I'll tell you why. So Gen Z, they're age about 13 through 27. They've only known the climate crisis. They missed substantial parts of their education because of the pandemic. If they're in high school or college, especially in college, it is very likely that whatever they've chosen as their major for study may not result in an affordable wage. They've coined the term climate anxiety to describe fear of not only being able to buy a home, but that fear will be wiped out by extreme weather, but fear of having children.
She was almost president. And she thinks she wants to be president again. Are you kidding me? What was that? Yeah, lowered it to 13 because 13-year-olds are a good place to vote because they're worried about the climate and you need more votes. In case you were wondering, now, remember when that Australian journalist thrashed Kamala Harris when she claimed that Joe Biden was mentally fit to be president and even run again? Kamala Harris is still living up to her deal with the devil. Even Jon Stewart calls her out on it.
I believe he was fully competent to serve.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
That surprises me, actually.
No, I do. There's a distinction to be made between running for president and being president.
What's the distinction?
Well, being a candidate for president of the United States is about being in a marathon at a sprinter's pace, having tomatoes thrown at you every step you take.
That sounds lovely.
I was thinking, remember she said, I didn't just fall out of a coconut tree. When's a coconut tree? Isn't that a palm tree? I mean, really? That woman, I don't know. If that's the best they got, God bless them. We'll be back. 2.5 minutes. We have more show, a lot more show coming up, and scary, spooky stuff, fake news.